Good morning, beautiful people. This is Friday Night Lights on Air. We're the students of the game, and class begins now. Welcome in. Grab your cup of coffee. Happy Saturday morning. Come on in, gather around, sit back, and help my good friend Jett Wilson and I decipher the Brentwood versus Franklin game. I hope you're doing well. I'm your host, Gentry Neese. This is my co-host, Jett Wilson. Jett, how are we?
Been better, but I'm glad that I'm here getting to grieve with you. The listeners out there, we can all grieve together.
That's right. We're all here together on this beautiful Saturday morning. Real quick, before we get right into the game, if you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to like and subscribe. We're also available anywhere you listen to podcasts. On Instagram at Students of the Game TN is the handle, and studentsofthegametn@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out at any time. We're happy to answer any questions. Okay. Let's jump right into the game because, Jett, I think this is probably the first game this season where we've come out probably with more questions than answers, trying to figure it out, trying to just process everything. But the first thing I want to say, the number one thing before we get into anything, is how proud I am for the way these boys fought tonight.
1,000% agree. I think there's no other way that we can start talking about this game than saying how proud we are of the boys. They fought. They came out and punched Brentwood in the mouth.
They did.
They were the more physical team tonight.
Absolutely.
You could tell they wanted it more tonight. Super proud of every single position group on the team.
100%.
Those boys put their hearts out there on the field tonight, and this only gives me more confidence going forward with this team.
Absolutely. I think that it shows a lot in times of adversity, how they act and how they responded. They kept their heads up the whole time. They played with effort, intensity, and passion. And really, from a coaching and fan perspective, all you can ask for out of these players. You know what I mean? I don't think they could have performed any better in adversity.
Yeah, and I think that we can kind of, it feels like the worst thing in the world is on the field after the game.
Right.
But kind of putting it in perspective, this team's going to make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
There's bigger games to come this season for this team. This is not the Super Bowl. There's bigger things ahead. So I think it's very important for this team to keep their confidence up and know that the best is ahead. And this is a Brentwood team that we could see in the playoffs.
100%. That's a great point.
Likely they're going to get the 2 seed and we're going to get the 3, which would mean if we both win, that would be a second round playoff matchup. And I know our boys would do anything to get on the field with the Bruins again, and I'd love to see it.
I loved it, and since they would be the 2 seed and we'd be the 3 seed, marching back into their territory, their home field.
Bring it.
We're at the same location as tonight's game. So I completely, that's a great thing. If anything, it gives me more confidence that we can build on this and use it to propel us down the road. Okay. Now let's get into the actual game. Really was a physical game, to your point, a defensive battle. Dr. Defense and his boys really came out and had a good game plan, I thought, against that Brentwood attack. It really gave their quarterback some troubles.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Dr. Defense was ready. In this game, he had the boys ready. They really played great all night. There was a couple big plays that Brentwood had, mostly missed tackles, that they were able to drive the ball on us, but they did not consistently drive the ball. We consistently got third down stops. We shut down two. Two really was not a big factor. I know he did a touchdown at the end, a 1-yard touchdown, but we really keyed in on him, stopped him. Run game, pass game, we were kind of working all cylinders on the defense and even being put in bad spots by special teams. Defense, 17 points might seem like a lot based on what happened in the game, how the game went. Defense played great.
And that's exactly that's going to actually jump us into our first kind of talking point here. A lot of the big plays Brentwood had was on special teams, putting the defense in bad spots, yet they still propelled. And so early on in the first quarter, while it was a defensive battle, Franklin had a punt blocked in their own territory, and Brentwood ended up recovering it. But Dr. Defense stops them out, Stonewall Jackson on the first 2 plays, and they get in a passing situation. And Luke Thompson ends up getting an interception and saving the day. And we actually have that play that we're going to break down because it was such a good play by Luke Thompson. Producer Chuck, can you cue up that play as us and the viewers walk into the film room? Producer Chuck, pause it right here. So as you see, they kind of lined up originally in trips right into the boundary. That means they're on the right hash and the boundary is the short side of the field. The field is the opposite side, and so they got singled up to the top of the field, went trips to the bottom of the bottom of the field, and the quarterback drops back and throws kind of a streak to the bottom, and then producer Chuck, you can go ahead and play it. As you can see, Luke Thompson from his safety position makes a play. Producer Chuck, pause it right here. Comes across the field, tries to make a play, reversing field. I sees what he sees, tries to get a block right there. Producer Chuck, go ahead and play it.
Yeah, you trust him with the ball.
Exactly.
He has that freedom. He's one of the few guys that you can run backwards in a little bit because he can make a play.
Absolutely. He's trying to make a play. He just gets off the interception.
Didn't work on that one, but it might.
But let's go to this backfield. Producer Chuck, pause it right here. And a little further, right there. Look at that ups, the vertical on that. I think if he didn't have an interception, Andy Dixon would have had an interception on this. But Luke Thompson coming off of his number 2 receiver responsibilities from the safety position, reading the quarterback's eyes, and Producer Chuck, you can let it play.
Yeah, you said it. I think that's definitely one where he just read the quarterback's eyes. The quarterback was just staring down his receiver the whole time. Obviously knew where he wanted to go. And Luke Thompson just made a great play.
So that saves us on the special teams. Special teams hurts us.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yes.
To get that momentum back.
Absolutely.
When you have such a momentum-killing play with the punt block, a guy like Luke Thompson to step up is huge. And I think that is really a tale of this team and why I think they're so special is they have that confidence to go out there and play hard, and they don't get too down. You know,
Absolutely, for sure.
They don't get too down.
That's right.
They come back and they play hard every play.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And to that, they use that momentum. The offense ends up getting stalled out again. Okay, that we were trying to would seem to me in that first half we were trying to get Brewer on the edge with some rollouts, but it wasn't quite there. The rollouts just weren't quite there.
The rollouts weren't there at all. They didn't work the first time we ran them, and they didn't work the next 3 times we ran them either. And I just don't like seeing us be that predictable. You know, where it's like I think it was at least 2 or 3 times in the first half on 3rd downs we ran the rollouts, and it seemed like Brentwood was getting better and better at defending it. Like they were going to the sideline, watching the film, making adjustments, and defending it better. And it just wasn't working for us.
And so we end up putting the ball. Okay, Brentwood, eventually we kind of knew this was happening. They're a good team. They drive down. They end up punching it in with about under 30 seconds left to go in the half. But Brewer Wilson, I believe he sees something over the middle. He's like, hey, let's start pushing this ball downfield with these drop back passes. He ends up hitting Luke Thompson to getting us in some scoring position. And we've actually got that play as well because this is such a great play by Brewer. And I'll let you kind of break this one down, Jett.
Yeah, let's see what we got.
So we've got twins out of 10 personnel.
Oh, it's just a dart, man. It's just a dart. Ball goes flying out there. We're kind of not knowing what's happening.
Yeah.
Ball's on the opposite sideline. We can't see what's going on, but thank goodness we got the good camera angle.
Yes, we got the good camera angle. So as you see, Luke Thompson caught the ball, and then it got popped out, and Franklin kept possession of this ball because, as you can see, as the Brentwood player recovers the ball, his right cleat is on that line. Great job by the refs to see that in real time and call a ball because this is his cleat when he touches the ball. It is an extension, right? He's an extension.
Yeah. He's out of bounds.
This is out of bounds. This is the right call. Franklin Admiral's ball. So great throw by Brewer, great play call by Brewer, great catch by Luke Thompson, and great call by the rest.
Can we see the throw one more time?
Yeah. Let's go back to it.
Just watch how there's 2 defenders off the edge coming at Brewer Wilson, and he's able to stand in the pocket, stay strong, and deliver this pass over the middle right there. I mean, in between 3 defenders. It's just an awesome play. And this was the first drive that we ran a drop back pass the entire first half. Everything else was rollouts. I just, after seeing us have so much success in the past couple of weeks with the drop back pass, right? It's like I just wanted to see it continue. Yeah,
and that does show when you do see that drop back pass. When you get pressure off the edge, Brewer has the ability to step up and stay in the pocket and still deliver a great throw over the middle. And so we end up throwing kind of a attempt. That was a great throw, gets us in scoring position, but not quite far enough to get in field goal range. And so we go into half down 7-0. Jett, what is kind of your thoughts going into half down 7-0? We still had plenty of confidence that these boys were going to come out and in the second half, and they totally did.
I had confidence in these boys the entire game.
Exactly,
when they got the ball back with 2 minutes, I said we did this against Centennial. We're going to do it again. So there's never a time I'm not going to be confident in the boys.
Absolutely.
But the way even the game was playing out, you could see we were more physical than them. Offense and defense. Defense came to play. Offensive line, especially, they were moving the ball. Receivers outside were getting nasty blocking on screens. We see opportunity to take shots against a secondary that's not as talented as our receivers. I felt like if we played the same way, if we came out with the same plan in the second half, it wasn't going to work. But I didn't think we were going to adjust.
Absolutely.
We were going to be able to look at where we had gone wrong in the first, adjust, and I trust in our boys always to get the win in the second half.
In these boys we trust, right? And so, and I liked, because that last drive of the half, that was the first play in a consecutive 3 plays of drop back passes that were our best offense of the entire half.
Okay, we're going to kind of stick with that.
So my thought was to be, hey, let's go into the second half. Let's take that momentum on the drop back passes, because my thing is what they were doing, and Brentwood did what we would, if we were defending Lucas Young, okay, and it would keep me up at night. It really would, as a defensive coordinator. And what I would do is I would provide extra help for the defenders to Lucas Young, and that's what they were doing. They were shading a safety over the top of him. Yeah. However, on that last drive, he is so talented that he is able to outrun the double coverage and get a shot at a play. And so my thing is he's going to make that 80-20. You know what I mean? And so let's keep doing that if he's going to outrun this double coverage.
And then, like we saw on the play earlier, when they do have 2 safeties, 2 people guarding Lucas Young, now you have Luke Thompson, who you can get the ball to, and he can make anything happen. So it's like, man, this offense just has so many different weapons that it's hard to defend them all when they're all on the field and they can all get the ball in any play.
In the pregame episode, when we're watching Brentwood and we're watching Franklin in the NFL, it's all about this. The way he's scheming up is all matchups, right? And we felt like Brentwood had a good offensive and good defensive line. You know what I mean? They were strong there. But we did feel like we definitely had the edge on the perimeter on these outside games. And so you want to use your matchups, you know what I mean? And when we did use those matchups, they ended up succeeding, because on the next play after that, the corner, because he's afraid that Lucas is going to beat him deep, ends up bailing out, and we throw a quick hitch or curl to him, and we end up picking up 10 yards. You know what I mean? And so
we did that every time we did it. It worked.
It worked.
We got away from it, obviously, in the second half, but it was working for us early. When they're so scared of him as a deep threat, they're giving us that 5 yards. And
100%.
It's free. We'll take it every time.
I completely agree. Brentwood gets the ball in the second half. They put a little bit of a drive together, but Dr. Defense holds. Yep. They get into our territory, and they have a good kicker. Again, special teams coming into play. He ends up kicking a 47-yard field goal to go up 10-0.
That was really impressive.
It was an impressive kick. Big props to that kicker. Big props.
It would have been good from at least.
It was good. It would have been good from 50. Easy. And so, that's why there's 3 phases. That stuff matters, you know what I mean? But props to Dr. Defense, they bend, don't break, you know what I mean? And I feel good, honestly, after forcing a field goal once they get in our territory. Yeah. I'm like, how you doing? Here we go. We're getting the ball back. How you doing? Keep it moving. And we see a little bit of a flash of what we were talking about. And I was like, here we go. Here are our adjustments that we thought they were going to make. They drop back to pass. Brewer. It's on a third. They get to 3rd and 10. Brewer drops back to pass. He scrambles out, hits Wills on a first down, and we move the chains.
And that's kind of where the drop back pass is an advantage for us.
Absolutely.
When you roll out, you have one read, and if that read's not there, there's no other options for you. When you drop back pass, you can have that first read, and if it's not there, Brewer can kind of scramble, get out of the pocket, and find another guy. And when you drop back, you just limit yourself to these 1 or 2 receivers, and when they're not open, there's nothing you can do. And drop back, you can make stuff happen. It just opens up more of the field.
Exactly. A lot of him and Lucas's touchdowns have been on those scramble rules. And my thing is, anything we can do to get the playmakers, especially like Lucas Young, the ball more. That's what I like to see. And Luke Thompson, another one, and Sean, and Wills, and all these guys. And so I'm feeling good after that first down. We end up getting to a 4th and 1. Okay, and we line up in Sean Gaka and we enter the Wildcat. And the reason I'm really emphasizing this moment right here is because we enter the Wildcat on our first drive in the third quarter, and we enter and stay pretty much in the Wildcat the rest of the time. Completely.
Until there's 2 minutes left in the game, we're down by 8.
So from the first drive of the third quarter to the last drive of the fourth, we're in the Wildcat. Sean converts the 4th and 1, and how fun is it to watch Sean Gaka, how patient he is back, just feeling. I mean, I've never seen. He is practically, and this is gonna sound. For those who don't know, this is a good thing. He is almost stopping behind the line of scrimmage and waiting for the play to develop and waiting for these pulling guards and counters and zone blocks to develop. And then he hits the hole, and he's just so shifty. It's hard to I haven't seen him, the first person tackle him all game.
No, he is so slippery. What number 5 does when he has the ball is so impressive.
It's beautiful to watch.
It is so impressive. I cannot stress enough what 5 means to this team.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and this is coming off of the first half. His shoulder getting popped out of socket, allegedly, and it getting popped back in. Right, so he is banged up. Had the toughness of this guy, of this kid, of this man, to carry the rock the entire second half coming off this injury is just super impressive. I mean, it's like he's like a maestro out there, an artist out there. It's like Van Gogh out there for running backs. It's just artistry watching him run.
And can't do it without the O-line, obviously.
Goodness, the O-line fought in the trenches all night.
The push that they were getting against Brentwood was very impressive.
Super impressive.
Something I've never seen from a Franklin team against Brentwood. You know, Brentwood's always got us outplayed in the trenches, and man, our guys were getting pushed consistently on their dogs up front. And
because they have size, Brentwood's got size, but boy, I'm going to give the offensive line the roses because when you go in the Wildcat, everybody knows you're going to run the ball. And so when the defense is expecting run in the Wildcat, okay, you have to be like it. Me and you and yours versus me and mine. And I would take me and mine, this offensive line all day. They were getting pushed. So much so that when we got to the goal line, Sean ends up pretty much almost scoring. Producer Chuck, we got this breakdown. Can we pull up play 3? So Sean's in the Wildcat. He takes the direct snap, just an outright zone. Great blocks. Receivers are blocking out there, sealing the edge. And Producer Chuck, can you pause it right here? So Sean ends up diving at the pylon here, and I think he gets in. They called him down, and we end up running the Wildcat, and he ends up scoring on the next play. But the reason I wanted to show this play specifically is because I think he got in. Shout out to Lucas Young with that in the receivers and Tommy and the boys and Lumberjack Flynn. Yep, Lumberjack Flynn end up sealing this edge because, Producer Chuck, can you keep playing it? I think from this angle, this next angle when Brentwood cuts the wide shot, you'll see Sean take it out wide, and you'll see him kind of dive at the pylon here. And I really think he gets in right. Producer Chuck, can you pause it right here? I mean, you see him touches that pylon
down,
going.
You see the football on the pylon.
Yes.
It seems very obvious that he got in the end zone, but great play by Sean.
Great play by Sean. Anything on this play before we cut to it? We move it on.
No, let's move on.
All right, so we're up. We've missed the extra point, 10-6. And then we kick the ball Brentwood. So still a one-possession game, still a 4-point game. Brentwood ends up driving a little bit, and again, Luke Thompson, Mr. LT himself, comes up with a great interception on a deep ball, much like the first one, where he's just playing center field back there, reading the quarterback's eyes. And he comes off it. He just has a really good feel for the game and a good defensive IQ. He gets an interception. We get the ball back. Jett, what does that mean? Luke Thompson's second interception of the game.
Luke Thompson's a beast. He steps up when we need him. And the whole defense is making plays.
Yes.
The quarterback was under pressure in that play too.
Yes.
But just our defense, there were so many drives this game where we're kind of in the stands like, we can't let them score here. Like if they score here, you know, they're kind of
pulling away a little bit. Makes it tough.
Make that cushion. And the defense stepped up over and over and over. And I just love to see that. They're a great group on this team.
Yes.
And they're going to help us go far this year.
Two players I want to specifically shout out here. Santino Bruni got a little banged up, came back in, played his heart out. Big Bad Breakfast Player of the Week last week, shout out. And Teagan, watching Teagan hit people, I mean, man, does he bring the thunder. I mean, I would not want to be on the receiving end of a Teagan, the Eraser Lee hit. You know what I mean?
Domingo, too.
Domingo, that's right.
The entire second half, but Teagan.
So he was stopping the run all game. And so we get the ball back, down 10-6. We're feeling good, and we weren't sure if we were going to continue to see the Wildcat. We weren't sure if that was a one-drive thing. They come back out in the Wildcat. We end up getting a drive. I believe we get into a passing situation. We stay in the Wildcat. Sean Gaka drops back, tries to make a play, throws it incomplete, but our defense gets a great stop we receive the punt the ball back, and we stay in the Wildcat. Now we're deep into the fourth quarter. And the Wildcat, again, to your point, the offensive line is getting pushed. Sean's staying patient. There's a couple blocks. We ended up having Tommy King had a couple good runs, and then we get into another third down situation, and they throw it with Sean again.
Third and 8. I believe.
Yes,
and they're like 25-yard line.
Yes, exactly. And we're at 3rd and 8 on their 25-yard line. We had one. Sean has completed one pass to Jack Flynn earlier on the drive, so we weren't sure because that's what they were trying to do, or if we were going to go just normal offense here. But Jett, on a 3rd and 8, we stay in the Wildcat in a passing situation in their territory. We roll out right to kind of fake the run and throw a throwback pass to Aiden Elmore. But since it's 3rd and 8, Brentwood was anticipating most likely some sort of trickery, some sort of pass. They double cover that Aiden Elmore throwback pass, and it's incomplete, and it's asking a lot. And honestly, props to Sean Gawker for even getting out there.
It was a good throw.
Throwing on that shoulder. Yeah. I mean, that's just toughness right there.
Props to Sean. Props to Aiden. Everyone knows I love Sean Gawker and Aiden Elmore. Mm-hmm. They are absolute monsters,
love them. Love watching them play. Yes.
Amazing players. I think they should both play at the D1 level in college. But you got, let's call a spade. You got a running back whose throwing shoulder probably came out of place in the first half, and a D lineman who doesn't have a catch the entire season. And 3rd and 8, game on the line. When you have guys, you got Brewer Wilson as a passer, you got Lucas Young as a receiver, Wills Jackson, Jack Flynn, Luke Thompson, Gaka as a receiver. When you have those guys, and on 3rd and 8, clock winding down by 4 points, you throw the ball with your running back who dislocated his shoulder in the first half, probably, to a D lineman that doesn't have a catch all season. It just leaves you shaking your head a little bit.
And I think that it is to the fact of, out of all the situations, this is the situation where we thought we were gonna our normal passing situation out there, right? Because earlier in the drive, it had been 3rd down, and we had passed on those consecutively, right? So the past couple 3rd downs we've thrown on them, and so that's why Brentwood was ready for that. And so if we're in a passing situation, I to your point, this is the moment I thought we were going to have our passing personnel out there, okay? Now it's 4th and 8. Jett, and there's a lot of debate kind of going back and forth here. We do elect to kick the field goal to make it a 1-point game. Props to our field goal unit. They do put it through. Makes it 10-9. Great kick. Honestly, it was a beautiful kick. Jett, with about 4 or 5 minutes left, I believe we had maybe 1 or 2 timeouts left. About, I would say, 4-ish, kind of the 4-minute drill. We elect to kick the field goal to make it a 1-point game when we were down 4. What did you think about that call?
It's definitely easy for me to sit here and say I don't like the call. I think hindsight's always 20/20. You're kind of thinking there it's gonna save you at the end of the game.
It's true.
If it's a 1-point game, maybe you don't have to get in the end zone. You can kick a field goal. You can't really see that they're going to return that kick to the our 30-yard line. So I think it looks a lot worse looking in retrospective, but I still don't like the call.
So I do think, to your point, hindsight's always 20/20, and I do think if you were going to trust any defense to make a stop, it's going to be Dr. Defense's defense. But to your point, let's jump to the next you mentioned it. What happens is on the ensuing kickoff, we end up the Merrill brother is back there to return. He drops the kickoff, right? He drops it, and I think our kickoff unit was so excited that he dropped it. They all came and crashed in to try to get the ball. And when they go and get the ball, Merrill takes advantage of that, sees that there are lanes open, and he kind of takes up the sideline and almost houses it. I thought he was going to crib this. He ends up pushing it down pretty much to the red zone territory in one step.
Yeah, big hustle play by Jay Little there to not give up on the play.
Yes, never give up.
I think you explained it perfectly. That's one where kickoff team, it's very important to stay in your lanes. Not everyone just runs at the ball, because then you leave creases on the outside. There's guys out there that just contain. And when that ball's on the ground, everyone kind of forgets about that discipline a little bit, and eyes get big, go for the ball, and you lose those lanes, you lose your contain. And he made a good play.
They get down to the goal line. Fourth down. I mean, the Dr. Defense, they defense stop one on the first and goal, second goal, third and goal. They went in the Wildcat, their heavy package. They stop, and good play by them. They had run it up the middle 3 times. They decided to run it on the end outside zone because everybody was packed in the middle, expecting another middle run. And Gavin ends up scoring a touchdown. Like you said, you mentioned that earlier, 1-yard touchdown. He gets in the box. That's still a one-possession game. They kick the field goal. It's still 17-9, and we're in a dire 2-minute situation. Brewer then, this is the last drive. There's 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. I think one timeout left, if any timeouts left. Actually no timeouts left, so less than 2 minutes, 2:30 on the clock, no timeouts. We throw Brewer back in there, but to your point, he hasn't thrown a ball and he hasn't played in 2 quarters almost. That's a tough situation to put him in. And if anybody can do it, it's going to be him. And we end up throwing a screen pass to Lucas Young, which I like. Get the ball in his hands.
I think we had a hitch too.
We got a hitch. We got a few
first
yards,
downs,
and then we try to take a shot.
We do
that, and we've scored on this. We've been rolling out, so he does the half roll left, drops back to throw it deep to Lucas, which again I'll take. And as he's rearing up, he gets kind of sandwiched between 2 people. Ball pops out. They recover it. Under 2 minutes. No timeouts left. What kind of talk to me about your thoughts on that final drive?
Yeah, I mean, I had full confidence in Brewer Wilson and his weapons to make it happen. It's kind of like, man, we tried to roll out again, and the quarterback gets clobbered by 2 guys coming from each direction.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, you kind of just wish you could replay some things in that second half, but
especially because I feel like if anybody is conducive to succeed in that 2-minute situation, it's Brewer, his arm, and these weapons, right? So like we know they can do this, and we've seen them do it. I mean, you go back to I believe it was the Page. Or it was the Nolensville game where we're throwing practically a Hail Mary at the end of the half. I mean, there's no shot, and what does Lucas do? He goes up and makes a play. You go to the 4th and 15 in the first game in Centennial. What happens? It's 4th and 15. All hope is lost. Brewer scrambles around, throws it to Sean up the middle for a touchdown. He makes a play. So if anybody, I mean, they have a track record of doing this. I think that's why you hate to see it just with the ball pop out like that.
I think it's time to address the elephant
in the room.
I think it is.
Okay, all right.
So we have an offense, a passing attack at Franklin that the last 3 games has averaged 250 yards and 4 touchdowns a game. And it's not all Brewer. I'm not sitting here saying that that's because of Brewer. It is partly because of Brewer, but it's also because of the amazing weapons that we have in the receiving game.
And the line giving them time.
Right. So Brewer Wilson gets taken out at quarterback. We go Wildcat. Sean Gaka, incredible player.
So good.
Can put the team on his back. He has that ability. But when we go Wildcat, we take our weapons, the threat of those guys, out. Luke Thompson, 0 touches on offense in the second half. Lucas Young had 1 touch while we were in Wildcat the entire second half. These guys, when we go Wildcat, we are so one-dimensional that every week they can put 11 people in the box to focus on Gok. We take away that threat of the pass, which I think hurts Gok. Because when we have Lucas Young, Luke Thompson, Wills Jackson on the outside, they can't put 11 people in the box to focus on 5.
So we can be in that personnel, in the normal personnel with Brewer at quarterback and still run the ball with
Right.
God.
And yes, you gain a blocker running Wildcat.
Absolutely.
But you also gain about 4 people in the box.
Because it's one-dimensional.
And you lose the threat of deep passes that make the defense have to play a shell coverage. Everyone can just scoot up. And I just think what makes this team so good is that they have different guys across the board that can beat you. Mm-hmm. And when we only rely on 5, I think it hurts our offense because now everyone's got their eyes on 5. They can all focus on stopping him instead of having to worry about Lucas 3 out there, 7, 9, 10, and 5. So I think it just takes away your weapons. And yet we got pushed. The Wildcat, it was 100%. Working. Props to the O-line. It was working. They were getting pushed. Yeah. But when you run the Wildcat, you have to play perfect. Mm-hmm. You have to get 5 yards every single play. You can't get stuck in the 3rd and 8 with a quarterback that dislocated his shoulder. You can't, that's a losing formula. Yeah. So, yes, we were getting yards. It was being successful. Mm-hmm. But to only run Wildcat, you have to play perfect. You cannot have a penalty. Mm-hmm. You can't have a negative or a neutral play. You have to play perfect. And it's just the hardest way to win.
And I think that, to your point, you mentioned situations. Let's go back to that Centennial game where we did run Wildcat and we had success. And when we got to a 4th and 10, what did we do? Or a 3rd and 10 or 4th and 10? We put Brewer back in the game with all of his weapons, okay? Yeah. And they succeeded, even when they got pushed back to a 4th and 15. And so situationally, when the situation turns, that's when you put your athletes on the field. And I think that this time, that's in that situation, that's not what was
Agreed. And I think the old winning cures everything quote works well in this moment because, like you mentioned, the Centennial game. Looking back in the Centennial game, we're driving to win the game. Mm-hmm. So we had multiple drives trying to take the lead in the game where we ran Wildcat. We got down to that kind of 30 yards range. 1st down, 2nd down, no yards. It's 3rd and 10. We stayed Wildcat. Mm-hmm. We ran Wildcat again. Boom. 4th and 10 is when we throw Brewer out there. Mm-hmm. Get the penalty, 4th and 15. Mm-hmm. And him and Gok just make an amazing play. Make it happen, tie the game. We end up winning in OT. I think this talk about Wildcat is one that we would be having after week 1.
If we didn't win. Right. If a game didn't end up going our way.
If a 4th and 15 pass didn't turn into a 30-yard touchdown, then we would be having this conversation week 1. But it happened against Brentwood.
And a loss, to your point. And I think it's one of those old adages and one of those things where it's if you keep going to the well, eventually you're going to run out of water. And I think that's one of those things, to your point, where it has to be perfect. It has to be kind of penalty-free and all that. And so they knee it out. That's the end of the game. Jett, 17-9 is the final score. I can't wait to watch the boys come back out in their next game. They've got to bye, rest up, get nice and healthy, right? Come out. I cannot wait to see them respond down the road.
Me too.
Any final thoughts on the game?
I love this team.
Love these boys.
There's no ounce of me that is giving up on this team.
Were you kidding me? No.
I'll say it again. This is not the biggest game that they will play in this season. They have multiple bigger games coming up. I'm excited to see how they respond.
Can't wait.
And like we said, this is nothing that this team can't go through. They've been through the hardest.
Yes, exactly.
They've been
through worse. Trust me.
They've been through the worst. Uh-huh. So they can come. This is nothing.
And I can't wait to watch them respond because that's the type of team that they are. Now, going around the pulse of the nation, real quick. Going down the road. The more Lucas, the better. That's my thoughts.
One more thing, quick.
Sorry.
Special teams, man.
Special teams, yes. There is 3 phases. That's why we talk about it. And if you do struggle in special teams, if you struggle in phase 3, you have to be so good in phase 1 and 2 to make up for it. But it's so important to have balance among all those 3 phases between the kick return and the punt block.
And I think that this has been kind of like the winning cures everything mantra. we don't have a lot of starters on special teams, and you look
like
around
offensive and defensive starters.
Right.
Teams.
We do not have offensive and defensive starters on special teams, and I think that's kind of something that you can get away with against Summit and Independence and Nolensville and even Centennial. But a team like Brentwood,
where there's a talent match, not we're so much more talented.
I think against a team like Brentwood, they exposed us on special teams, made 2 huge game-changing plays on special teams. So I'd like to see us try to improve that.
There's all 3 phases.
All three phases. It matters.
All right, now getting the Pulse of the Nation. We're going to head straight into the lightning round, all right, with the Pulse of the Nation of the rest of the Williamson County games. We're going to start out, I don't know if I got all of them, but because it was right after the game, but we're going to go to Independence 37, Overton, nothing.
Shout out David Cummings.
Okay, all right. Inside joke there for the studio audience.
For the few.
Yeah, for the few, not the many. Nolensville 17, shutting out Hillsboro, nothing. Nice. Ravenwood 45, beating Summit, nothing. BGA 61, JP 210.
Jeez.
We thought JP 2 was going to come out
I
a little bit of it.
Missed that one.
FRA 51, Davidson Academy 14. Page 49, James Lawson 6. Centennial.
First point scored on
First
Page.
point scored on Page, which is craziness.
Week 7.
Okay, this we did not anticipate. We were riding on Glencliff here, but Centennial 64, Glencliff nothing.
Huge upset there by Centennial.
Circling the wagons, baby. I'm circling the wagons still on Glencliff, okay? I'm hitching my wagon. Fairview 35, beating Montgomery County, Montgomery Central 21. So that's Pulse of the Nation. I don't know if I got all of them right now. But finally, for our final segment, to go to our segment, the next town over. The next town over, where we spotlight a team outside of Williamson County. We're going to travel out to Amish country in Lawrence County, Tennessee, where Tullahoma and the Wildcats play the Wildcat Bowl. We were talking about Wildcats. We're going to continue talking about Wildcats. This is the Wildcat. Here's the theme. Tullahoma Wildcats plays the Lawrence County Wildcats. They have a big win before fall break, and our crew, the students of the game crew, actually caught up with future head coach of Tullahoma, Race Marin, after the game. Check it out.
Congrats on the win tonight. Hey, okay, so your message to the team all week, we're all right before fall break. Tell us about what the message was and then how you feel the players executed tonight in this big W. Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you for that. It was a big win. It was a short week. Playing on Thursday. Didn't have as much time to get prepared, right? Fall break coming up. So we were just business trip, right? Take care of business. Let's go.
I love that. Take care of business.
You know, gonna go get a good dinner after this one. But
that's right.
Got to win.
Hey,
you know, make sure we lock in all week. And,
that's right.
And they did. You know, we got the win.
Hey, pack your proverbial lunch. Bring your briefcase. Right. Absolutely.
Bring your lunch pill.
One of our favorite segments on Students of the Game is Good Comp, Bad Comp, where we compare a high school player to an NFL player. One of your best players, Mr. Kanai Johnson himself. Who was your NFL comp for Mr. Kanai Johnson?
Love this segment on the pod.
Okay,
super
good.
stoked to be on this little short.
Friend of the program, friend of the program.
Friend.
Yeah.
But comp for Kanai Johnson, I'd go Devontae Smith. Real shifty guy. You know, take the top off the defense. He's made big plays for us all year. Love that kid.
Great comp. Hey, Coach, I appreciate you. My only request is you don't forget about us when you're the head coach of this place one day.
Look at this team. Repping Tullahoma right here.
T-Town. Here we go. Yeah.
Baby. Crew catching up. Baby Race. We're proud of you. Proud of the Olive Brothers. We could you guys enjoy the bye week. I guess we'll be off as well.
Yeah.
So we'll miss you guys though. We can't wait to see you guys when we do the preview episode of the Ravenwood.
Oh, come on, dude.
Fire me up, baby. Here we go. Proud of the boys. Love you guys. Love these boys. We'll see you Ravenwood week.